Hello and welcome to the Live by Heart Today show number 74. This is a show designed to help you navigate change, uncertainty, and the new world we found ourselves in. We'll talk a little bit about science, a little bit about how the body works, a little bit about intuition, and we'll talk a lot about transformation.
Streaming from Retro Earth Studio and brought to you by
Learn to play jazz piano like a pro. By a pro with Jazz Piano Pro Essentials at jazzpianopro.com.
And wearehistorically.com. Conscious human apparel. It's time for the next episode of Live by Heart
Today.
Hello, I'm Dawn Spiegelberg, medical intuitive and coherence coach. This show is in our growth series, and today's theme is Go for the Heart. With me for today's Heart to Heart is my co-host, Wendy R. Wolf, professional transformation facilitator. Welcome, Wendy.
Hey, Dawn. This show is a little bit of a bait and switch, I think, because usually when we talk about Live by Heart, we're talking about living in the consciousness of our oneness and being cohesive within ourselves and our world, etc. Today, the Go for the Heart is something from your experience. Do you want to share that?
Sure. So in fencing, we attempt to touch the target with a blade, and the target is the outline of a person's chest. So it would be, just below their collar, the inside seam of their arms, and just above the hips. And when I teach fencing, I mention go straight for the heart, because the heart's right in the middle of that target. And of course, the heart represents our life. Without our beating heart, we don't have life. The heart represents, you mentioned oneness, right? That is our purpose. And in fencing, when we touch, we don't want to just touch where someone's body is or where their jacket is, because they could just lean back slightly and then we wouldn't actually make the touch. So I share with my students to go straight for the heart. And that's symbolic of one, going through what appears to be the target, which would be, their jacket and their chest wall, and go right to the center, right to ensure that you make the touch.
Yes. So
that's the example. And for kids nowadays, I have a lot of young students, sometimes it puts them off. They're a little startled to hear that, especially when they're the recipient of the touch and someone is saying, go right for the heart. It makes them realize that fencing comes from actually destroying people. It comes from war, it comes from overrunning other countries.
Yes.
And it's important to keep that in mind, because then you respect it. Then you learn how to use it more accurately. It brings you to a state of humbleness rather than being cocky about it. And it reminds you of what's important in life.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. And you shared that because there's a thing that I'm consistently saying, which is from martial arts, which is punch beyond the board, which turns out not everyone is familiar with. So I know you are. Do you want to describe that? What you see as punch beyond the board?
Well, I've never punched boards, but I've seen people do it. Those people who practice karate and whatever else. And the idea is, if you just punch to the edge of the board, there isn't enough percussive force to break the board, and the goal is to break the board.
Yes.
It's also true in some of the other kinds of fencing that I do, where you use the blade with an edge, with a sharp edge. So rather than a touch and going through right to the heart, you actually make contact, and then you have to draw the blade through the target. Right? So you don't just hit the blade on something, but you catch it and then draw it through to make the cut. So it's very much like punching beyond the board, and it requires something different in order to be successful.
Yeah, and I've done only a little bit of karate, and I have done some board breaking, and
Ooh.
yeah, and I was shocked to find, like, because our instructor really had us practice this. Like, at first he didn't tell us, whatever, and like it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts to just hit the board.
Yeah.
It hurts. And then when we did punch beyond the board, it didn't hurt at all.
Isn't that interesting?
It didn't hurt at all. And the board was gone. It was wild. It was like magic. So that's the theme for me that I'm finding I'm always saying is to punch beyond the board. And all of this is from war. It's from fighting pictures. That it's do or die, in that case. So you definitely want to do it how it works. Fortunately, Rusty came up with a picture. Our producer came up with a picture that is not war, but it's still competition.
Still competition, yeah.
Still competition. Do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, he would run races in high school, I presume middle school and high school. And his dad was a great coach. His dad also happened to be the person who ran the school. But his dad would tell him to run past the finish line. And I've seen this to be true, that when people see the finish line, they're so relieved that they sort of slow down a little bit. They're so relieved to see the end in sight. They don't keep running at the great speed that they had at the beginning. And so Russ was saying that his dad taught him to run past the finish line, and he would win races because he would keep running as fast as he possibly could and then run past the people who saw the finish line and began slowing down because, oh, there's the finish line.
Yes.
It's a beautiful image. Beautiful image.
It really is. And it's like the opposite of, oh, I just have to do just enough to get there. I think he used the word like turn on the turbo.
Yeah.
It's like use all the energy you have left.
Yeah. Power up.
To power up. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, whatever image works for people.
And one thing he mentioned too is the result after having run the race. And you look back on where you placed or, the outcome, are you satisfied or are you disappointed? If at the very end somebody blows right by you, that can be disappointing because you see the finish line, you might not see anyone else, and you expect to be either first or net right. You expect the finish line to be there and for you to cross it in a particular time or a particular way. And when people go by you right at the end, that can really be disappointing.
Yes, frustrating. And since our eyes are focused this way, we don't see.
Yes.
And if we're looking behind us, we're running well. So yeah, it's an interesting image. And it kind of reminds me of our last show, 73, Life Leaves Clues. Because if we find that we're not getting the results that we want, let's pay attention. Are we punching beyond the board? Are we running past the line, the goal line? What is it called? Finish line.
Yeah.
Or at the last minute, are we just like, oh God, thank God I'm finally getting there. Let my momentum just carry me.
Yeah. I have a great example of this. When I first began fencing, and I happen to show you a photo of us fencing that was fun, we would train together because fencing, requires something. It's very cardio, not just mental, but it also requires some endurance and fitness. And in order to develop more endurance and fitness, we would run. And every Sunday we trained with our instructor. And because when we first started, I was not in great shape and running was not easy for me, I would start running during the week
Mm-hmm.
to increase my endurance.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out my friends, and most of them were guys, they weren't running during the week. They were doing other things, or they were too busy, or I don't know what they were doing. But I was running during the week, and the fencing instructor noticed, because he would take us on these long runs, and and I would be there, and the guys would be back at the bottom of the hill.
You got better and better.
Yeah, I got better because I was practicing it. So, are we showing up prepared to go through the board, to punch through the board? Are we practicing the skill? Are we being repetitive and improving? And that's a really good question, because if you're looking at the finish line and you didn't train that well, you might not be able to finish well.
Yeah. And that can change.
That can change.
We practice. Practice is a really very useful thing. I haven't always liked the idea. It takes like discipline and such, but it really helps. It really makes a difference.
Yeah. I recall some of the work that we were doing together. Practicing something is actually doing the thing. Yes. And I remember my mind thinking, oh, I should do this. So that was step one. But step two was then actually doing it.
Yes. And
you were very kind in saying, okay, we need to do it, not just think about doing it or not just remember to do it, and we need to do it.
Yes. And a lot of people, honestly, that I work with don't, really need a lot of support to get to the actual, yes, we practice it while sitting, the internal tools, but actually into our world, into our life. It's absolutely life-changing.
Yes.
When we bring that kind of intention and attention and focus and capacity to change into our everyday life.
And as we practice it, it's called greasing the groove. It becomes easier.
Yeah.
And that's the part I think people forget, that it's kind of hard at the beginning. We might not remember to do it. It might not be easy. It might not work exactly the way we want it to, right? It does take something, right? And then it becomes easier. And then you're doing it.
Yes.
And the benefits, you talk about the fruit, and the benefits of doing it are blessings. We talked about chocolate in the last show and how I stopped eating chocolate, and my relationship with my children is much deeper than when I was struggling.
Yeah.
It's so worth it. It's so worth it.
It's really worth it. And whatever the thing is, I think last time we were talking also about doing experiments and, applied science and what works. And this is part of the reason I like these metaphors, the punching beyond the board, the going for the heart, the running past the final line, finish line. Because it gives us that picture of attention, intention, focus. We have a focus and it's not here. It's here. And it takes us. We build momentum when we practice within ourselves. I've noticed with exercise several times, because I get off the horse and on the horse again. But with exercise, if I'm getting up and doing it every morning, if I don't, it's weird.
Yeah.
It just becomes part of what happens. And then I have the capacity to do that easier. It's not so miserable. And then I just went away with my niece and nephew this past week or so. And I could run around with them in a way that I couldn't, because I was up every morning for months now moving.
Yes.
And so I was still barely breathing enough the whole time, but I was doing it in a way that I couldn't before
Yes.
because of the practice, because of having that amount of fitness, which all built on, by the way, you're helping me with my alignment with my knees and my feet and my
Oh,
hips.
beautiful.
Yeah, right. Like, because I can do it now, I can do it,
Mhm.
and then I can do that. It's amazing. So it's step by step. We do a little bit, and then we keep adding.
Yeah, doing a little bit and then keep adding. That is a great way to describe it, because the opposite is also true. When we don't do a little bit, it keeps getting taken away, because the
Mhm.
body is brilliant. It will do or respond in the way that you ask it. So,
Yes.
people talk about going to a wedding. They're older now. The younger people are all getting married, and they go to a wedding and they want to dance for 3 hours like they did when they were in their 20s or 30s, but they haven't been dancing.
Yes.
So then they say, oh, I'm getting old, I can't do it anymore. And that's the wrong conclusion. The
Yes.
truth is, you just stop doing it. And
Right.
if you had been going out dancing every weekend, at the clubs or wherever you went, when you were like you were doing it in your 20s, then dancing 3 hours at a wedding would not have been a problem at all.
Right.
So it's true. Doing something allows you to get better at it, and not doing something, it takes away from your ability to do it. And the conclusion is, our bodies are amazing and resilient, and we can learn to bring them back up to a level of doingness
Yes.
that fulfills us. We don't have to just say, oh, I'm old now, I can't do that anymore.
Yes. I can't go dancing, or I can't run around with the children, or whatever.
Right,
It
right.
might look different. It
Yes.
might look different over time, and that's okay, but we can still be in joy.
Yes.
We can still enjoy our bodies and not just sit.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you're saying, the more we sit, and then we can't, not only can't we run, we can't walk.
Yes.
Not only can't we walk, but we can't, like, get to the bathroom. I mean, it degrades.
Yeah, I've seen it happen in my loved ones too many times. And it really is heartbreaking, because you want to help and you want to support, but I can't get up for them. I can't do the thing for them. I can demonstrate how to do it more efficiently. I can show them how to continue staying mobile. But if the choice isn't there on their side to continue with those kinds of movements, then it will stop. It will degrade, and that's the beginning of the end.
And it happens.
Hard.
It happens, because we're busy. It happens because we're like, we have responsibilities. It also happens because we start to have pain from whatever, and it just becomes a negative spiral. And so that this whole going for the heart, punching beyond the board thing, the picture is, can we be hungry for positive spirals? That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Let's take a short break.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
As a posture therapist, I'm qualified to pinpoint the cause of physical symptoms by realigning the body, and then it's the body that heals itself. When you are in a state of overwhelm, your mind is out of alignment with your values. As a coherence coach, I'm astute enough to identify the root causes and show you how to realign with what you value, and your mind can be whole. You can live by heart today.
Hello, my name is Wendy from Graceful Soul Academy, and we have an ongoing series of Thursday night workshops. This month, we're focusing on soul certainty. It's not intellectual certainty, it's not theoretical certainty, it's deep knowing, deep seeing in your own soul. We can help you taste the truth of your own soul. We can help you savor your unique perspective. we can help you own your reality, how it occurs for you, both within you and in your world. This practice of soul certainty, it's a very powerful tool and blessing. I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilrich. I instruct an online video course that teaches anyone how to play jazz piano like a pro with my proven step-by-step system that makes it simple to learn. Jazz Piano Pro Essentials. Enroll today at jazzpianopro.com and download my free quick start guide.
Welcome back to the Live by Heart Today show. I'm so glad you're with us today. We're talking about going for the heart and punching through the board. I want to point out this very amazing thing that you said, and that was before you learned how to do punching, board splitting, it hurt your hand.
Yeah.
And then they gave you this amazing and relatively simple understanding, visualization, teaching of punching through, and it stopped hurting. And I just want to share with everyone that these are the same kinds of tools that we provide. You know, something you may be doing hurts. You may have soul pain. You may have body pain. And if you continue doing it the way you've been doing it, it will continue hurting, and then you'll want to stop. And Wendy and I both have tools and ways to teach you how to punch through the board so that it doesn't hurt and you're successful. You can live your life purpose, live by heart, live in oneness, connected, fulfilled. It's a different way. For me, it's a non-chocolate way.
Yeah. And the momentum that we've gained in one direction can shift. Sometimes it takes something. So to get that support and to get different tools to be able to choose a different alignment or a different path or a different way or a different eating plan really helps.
I want to mention, you talked about experimenting, and I'll say, I keep thinking I can go back to eating chocolate, so I'll experiment.
Yes.
I'll have a couple chocolate covered almonds, and almonds aren't great for me either. And I'll be okay for that day. I'll be like, oh,
yes,
I didn't get upset today. I wasn't irritated today. I'll have a few more tomorrow. And that perpetuates itself, and then a week goes by, maybe 10 days, and then boom, I'll lose my cool over something, and it will shock me. And I'll say, what was that about? Oh, it wasn't the first 3 chocolate covered almonds, and it wasn't the second 3, but it was the chocolate covered almonds, right? So it kind of builds up, and then boom, there's the fruit. There's that clue that tells me it is the chocolate, and it's still the chocolate. Damn.
Yes. And I want to say we're kind of referencing our last show where you told this whole story. And it's interesting because what I like about the illustration is we can't see what's happening in your gut. We can't see the inflammation that's happening in your body, but we see the results of it into the world, into your, you feel it in your soul and you see it in the world. And like, that's part of the point, like to be able to look deeper, look beyond the obvious, look, find out what's going on, even though you can't see everything. It's like tracking. It's like tracking an animal. See just a little funny thing. Oh, they went this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also want to mention that my values were called into question. Do I value the experience of tasting and eating chocolate greater than I value, my behavior at 9:15 in the evening? And for me, that's an easy answer, right? If it's driving a wedge between my relationship with my family and chocolate,
Mhm.
I can step away from chocolate every time. And that's what I use to remind myself.
That's punching beyond the board.
Yes. Yes. So I'm faced with chocolate and nobody's around and nobody's going to see me eat it. And I'm the only one who's going to know until then
Mhm.
everybody knows because I lose my cool.
Right.
But that's the thing. I get to make a choice. And if I'm visiting someone and they offer a chocolate, blah, 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 blah. All right, maybe I'll accept it and say thank you, knowing that this is one step in the direction of not
Mhm.
being in coherence with my family.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So there's one thing I wanted to talk about today around this. And that is something that a lot of people can relate to, which is weight.
Yeah.
Now, my weight has been an issue for me. Well, really my whole life, because first I was underweight and then I started eating. Something happened. I started eating. Third grade, I was like regular. By sixth grade, I was plump pretty much ever since. And it's easy to focus on the scale or the amount of fat or the what size I am or whatever. It's so easy to want to measure that and, judge myself, be judged by that kind of thing. But what I find is really useful for me is to continually take my eyes off that. It's not so much anymore, but it used to be off of that because really those are all trailing indicators.
Yes.
So take my eyes off of that to, the whole reason is something happened. I started eating. Hello. Just don't want to miss that part. And it took it took all of elementary school to really get plump. But so what's interesting is that I realized maybe in general, that the weight is an indicator of wellness on every level. And am I well in my soul? Am I well in my body? Am I well in my relationships? Am I well? And in that, I can do something about it. It's something very positive. I can punch toward. I can run toward that. I really want. It's easy to see, really easy to understand. And for me, that works. It keeps my eyes off the scale and off up a pound, down a pound, up, that can be crazy making.
That's true.
Right? Or trying to micromanage what I'm eating or my exercise or whatever. It's if I'm going for wellness, then it's going to work the rest of my life and it's going to be a positive goal. And on the way to that, I find a balanced fitness and wellness in my body. So far, so good.
That adage that you hear some people say, where attention goes, energy flows, your focus grows. And I found the same thing with coronavirus. Most of the activities that I was doing, I wasn't doing anymore. I was doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu and walking a mile there and a mile back, right? So there's a level of fitness. And of course, I put on weight. I put on the coronavirus 10. So like you, I wasn't happy with the way my clothes were fitting. And I kept looking at the trailing indicators. Oh, this doesn't fit. Oh, that doesn't fit. Oh, I want to eat a piece of chocolate. Oh, all these things. And then I made a shift and I realized, I'm focusing on not the right thing here. Focus on the wellness, focus on taking the dogs for a walk, focus on jumping on the trampoline with my kids. And that shifted. So I'm deepening my relationships. I'm enjoying the time outside. My dogs are enjoying themselves, right? It was decreasing my cortisol, which will go up when you're constantly looking at the scale and trying to button your pants and they're not buttoning. And then you have to wear something else, which you've already worn,
Oh, God, that's very
the
stressful.
whole thing.
Yeah.
So switch your focus, switch your attention.
Yes. To go for the heart.
Yep. Straight through the board. And what's beautiful about that is we often say things like go for the heart of the matter or understand the heart of the matter.
Mhm.
And that is going to the source, going to the core. It's the central, right? The important piece.
Mhm. Yep. So, in conclusion,
Yeah, it's
this
time.
go for the heart is, yes, in fencing, it's the kill stroke, it's the thing, but also it's, and I believe we're going to talk more about this in our next show. It's also like live while you live, like grab life by the life and live it. And I believe we're going to say more about that next time.
Yeah, don't slow down at the finish line. Keep
Don't
going.
slow it down.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thanks.
And
Tom.
thank you to everyone else. I'm so excited that you're joining us today, and we'd love to hear from you. Please tell us what's on your heart by leaving us a comment. And for more information about how you can live by heart, please go to livebyhearttoday.com. Like and follow this page and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our programs. We're here every Thursday at 4:44 Pacific time. Thank you so much. From our heart to yours, we're creating a better tomorrow because we live by heart today.
And that concludes this portion of
Live by heart today!
Thank you for watching. View more episodes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors. Shop online at wearehistorically.com. Conscious Human Apparel.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilridge. I'll teach you everything you need to know about playing jazz piano like a pro with my 12-week online video course and downloadable guidebook, Jazz Piano Pro Essentials. Enroll today at jazzpianopro.com.
Thank you for joining us. Have a happy always. Visit our website to view more episodes.